after unlocking the ability to read the future and freeze time from the Fen Quan scroll clues found in the tomb. Then, Rui met Uncle Gu, who gave the last letter from his grandfather, who disappeared during the imperial exam. Also, Rui was officially adopted as a grandson by this old man. The next day, Rui and Huang Yu moved into the house after accepting an offer from Boss Ma. They also got an expensive gift from Bing Bing, who took the time to stop by. As a thank you, Rui wanted to treat the girl, but he had to go to Pingzhou City immediately because he had a work schedule. After that, Huang Yu talked about Bing Bing, who might be interested in Rui, even though she was a rich socialite, especially Officer Fei, who might also like her. However, Rui denied it, because every time he was with her, it was like a scene of police and criminals in a movie. Then read a book about Feng Quan, an ancient legend that tells of someone who has a god's eye who can see objects transparently, and also uses it to see stones. And it is true that he found what he had seen before, remembering when he did it at the auction. Rui went to his boss Ma's place in Fangzhou City and was introduced to his best friend named Shan, a Jade lover. Then, they will also go to the night market that sells antiques and jade. The night market was so lively with colorful lights, and soon, they entered the market. Saw some rough stones. Pre-auction made Bosma interested to see it. Rui walked alone, looking at some collections. When he stopped, he started using his god's eyes to look at the objects there. Then, who knows what he was thinking? He even bought a broken jar for 50 yuan. Then they moved to see the objects in the collection there. Bosma saw Jade, made him interested to look closer. Then Rui saw it with his god's eyes. It turned out that it was a jade that had a valuable history from the Han Dynasty, which was probably jade taken from the tomb. Then, and left for a while, because this person was good at negotiating like a wolf. The result was he got a 50% discount, and Bosma finally bought it. After that, they had dinner together. Bosma wanted to see the contents of the bag that Rui brought, and it was a broken jar that was previously. And according to Bosma, Rui bought broken floor tiles that were worthless. Rui tried to ask San about Uncle D, and San turned out to know him. Then Rui told him that he had seen Uncle D reconstructing broken porcelain. Then Uncle D showed the pieces while saying that each item was valued for its historical and artistic aspects. And if we could fix it, its value would increase tens of times. Then Rui combined one of the porcelain shards, showing the writing that shocked San. It turned out that the shard was a shard of Ru Clean from the era of Emperor Huizong. San said that one day Rui would become a very rich person because he was very skilled in the field of historical objects. At the police station, Fei discussed the discovery of Boss Yu's body, who was killed by being stabbed with a sharp object. Fei was also suspicious because when he was about to arrest him, the vest worn by Boss Yu suddenly exploded, proving that the big boss wanted to cover his tracks. Then, Fei ordered him to look for CCTV footage of traffic in the area leading to the murder scene. That night, Bosma looked happy with the jade he bought. Suddenly, the lights in his house flickered continuously, and a cold wind blew along with a shadow that passed through his balcony. When they arrived, conditions returned to normal. Then, with fear, Bosma told him that he saw a strange shadow floating past his window. According to San, it was impossible because the place was on the floor. Bosma still looked scared, and San asked if he bought an antique. They realized that the last item purchased was the jade this morning, which was probably taken from the tomb. Speculation that caused the horror incident, and if true, it was a cursed jade, taken from the original owner who was evil and stored a lot of bad energy. Then San gave a solution to find a shaman to neutralize the object, or the second solution was to return it to its original owner. But according to Rui, why didn't this strange thing happen to the owner of the jade shop? Then San answered because everyone has different life energy, such as zodiac, blood type, or others. Then Boss Ma, who was still scared, wanted to go and asked to be accompanied by San. According to Rui, this was unnatural. Then Rui called Uncle Gu to ask for his help. The next day, Huang Yu followed Rui to Fengzhou because he wanted to meet Miss Liu. Because today, Rui had an appointment to accompany Boss Ma to return the cursed jade to its original shop. They negotiated again about returning the jade, but the shop owner did not agree to it because the goods that had been purchased could not be returned, especially since the jade was discounted up to 50%. San explained about the incident experienced by Boss Ma, because after buying the jade, strange things happened, like being followed by a ghost. After explaining this, the seller finally agreed, but he only returned 100,000 yuan, even though the purchase was 800,000 yuan. Rui protested a little because there should be a warranty period for consumer rights. Rui explained that the incident experienced by Boss Ma, starting from the flashing lights, was not a mystical disturbance. But after Rui checked it, turned out that there was a cable that was deliberately damaged. He also checked the room next to where Boss Ma was staying. It turned out that there were footprints the same as on the rented balcony. The seller denied it, thinking it was just too wild an imagination. Then Uncle Gu's grandson came to explain that he found the oddity of the jade that Boss Ma bought had been returned 10 times, because all buyers experienced strange things, and it turned out that San was the suspect behind this incident. Knowing this, Boss Ma became angry, because even though he was considered a relative, he still deceived him. Because it was already known, the seller was willing to return Boss Ma's money. Then Rui met Uncle Gu in the hotel lobby and got a message behind this incident, namely that Jade would never lie, unlike the human heart, which is difficult to understand as deep as the ocean. Elsewhere, Feng and Bingbing met with a jade distributor businessman. Here they discussed the business that would be carried out at the auction. In the hotel lobby, Uncle Gu praised Rui, who was very observant above other people's abilities. Therefore, he gave him a membership card for the Gemstone Association and was officially registered in the national community. Not long after, a jade businessman named Mr. Shu met Uncle Gu to invite him to eat. Then Uncle Gu invited Rui to join him, who was actually not on the invitation list. Obviously, when he entered, Feng was a little surprised to see Rui, who had come in. Bingbing, who had just arrived, was also surprised that Rui was there. In the meeting, Mr. Shu announced to inherit his company to Feng. Mr. Shu also hoped that Uncle Gu would include Feng as a member of the National Gemstone Association. However, Uncle Gu only answered that members must have skills and abilities in the world of jade. So, Uncle Gu introduced Rui as the youngest member of his association. Knowing this, Mr. Shu openly challenged Rui to prove without any mistakes at the pre-auction event later. However, Uncle Gu slightly teased that Rui was better than Feng, which was proven at the previous auction. Suddenly, one of the employees came in carrying something that there was a gift from someone for Mr. Shu, which contained a jade statue. After Uncle Gu examined it, he said the stone and carving were ordinary. Then, Rui also tried to examine it in more detail and saw a curved sword downwards. It was likely a statue of the virtuous imperial politician Guanzong, which meant it would benefit Uncle Shu. Then, Uncle Shu praised him because Rui not only understood jade, but also understood history. After finishing, Grandpa Gu said that jade was not only valuable, but could be a moral message in it. Don't be like Shu's company, which only seeks material and fame. After that, Bingbing told that the statue was a satire for Mr. Shu, who was materialistic and thirsty for fame. Elsewhere, Feng suspected that the sender of the statue was Uncle Gu, but Mr. Shu said that he himself sent the statue to lure and show who was a friend and who was not for their company, because he had monopolized the gemstone sales business in Pangzhou. Mr. Shu also reminded Rui, because Uncle Gu would definitely train him and criticize Feng if he had lost 9 million yuan at the previous auction, telling him to make it an experience and learn not to repeat it. Then Feng had bad intentions by calling someone to give a gift of 30,000 yuan, asking to prevent Rui from going out for 3 days when the gemstone auction was held. At the police station, they checked the CCTV and were still trying to find out who killed Boss Yu. Fei revealed a black car that was indicated to belong to the suspect, and when the data came out, they found that the car belonged to Feng, and they intended to go to him, who was currently in Fangzhou. When the three of them were having dinner at a restaurant, a paid person was seen lurking from afar. After Huang Yu finished taking Miss Liu home, and Rui walked alone, the person immediately followed and attacked him from behind. In that condition, Rui still had time to use the golden eye and realized that this person was a guard at Mr. Shu's company, who said not to go out for 3 days during the gemstone auction event. If Rui violated it, he would look for, break his legs and finish him off wherever Rui went. So on the day the event started, the boss was confused because Rui didn't show up. But instead, Huang Yu came and explained that Rui was sick with diarrhea. Then San also came and apologized for his previous actions, and this time wanted to help. Because there was no other choice, Boss Ma finally agreed to forgive him on the condition that if he still cheated, he would be repaid more cruelly. Meanwhile, San was assigned to choose Jade, seeing the visitors gathered to see one of the big jade sellers, who turned out to have been booked by the Shu family, which was clearly very expensive because it was taken from the bottom of the Hao River in Myanmar, which has good foundation and moisture characters. And the quality's definitely good with a high price. And if polished, it will become a very valuable stone. But no one can guess the inside, because the jade auction is like gambling, that if it is open like an ordinary stone, or gets one that gets good quality, then you will become a millionaire instantly. Suddenly, Boss Ma was interested in seeing the unsold stone. Then, they tried to check it, and according to San, the green color was already visible, and was also convinced by the seller that all the stones here were from the old Hu River. So Boss Ma finally bought the stone for 22 million yuan. As proof, the stone was taken to the cutting room, witnessed by visitors. San started cutting the stone while Boss Ma and the others watched from the monitor. The first cutting process began. The result was white making. Boss Ma a little disappointed. Continued to the second cutting. But the result was still white, really making Boss Ma disappointed. Seeing this, Huang Yu tried to contact Rui that the event here was suspicious. There was a possibility that the stone did not match the specifications, while the original was monopolized by the seller who had cheated. Huang Yu asked Rui to come to the location, but was still hesitant because of the previous threat. Officer Fei and his partner finally came to Fangzhou, precisely at the auction event, which, according to information, Feng was here. And sure enough, Fei met Feng to ask about the murder case being investigated. But Feng refused to ask his lawyer first. Bing, who was uncomfortable, tried to leave so that his time would not be wasted. Feng was willing to answer questions about the ownership of the Jeep with the license plate number 3719. Feng did not know the car and who used it, because the cars in his office were too many that were placed in the company office. Then, Fei asked for an alibi on the night of the 20th, which he said he was at the stone exchange in Beijing. And after that, he went straight home, and Feng did not need to answer questions by leaving. Back to the stone cutting event. Rui finally came wearing a mask hat and glasses, then immediately looked at the stone with his golden eyes. Rui saw the green color on the other side found a surface with cracks in the smoke pattern around it. According to Rui, the amount of jade in the content of this stone is uneven, which means below 50%. So Rui suggested cutting it on the other side, approaching the crack pattern on the surface. Then, the third cutting was continued, according to Rui's orders. After finishing, the results obtained, according to expectations, because the green color was visible, making Boss Ma very happy, and everyone was amazed because it was luck not to lose 2 million yuan. They looked very happy. Then Rui contacted from another place, explaining that the stone was indeed from the Ho River, but there was a difference in the stone in the old Ho River and the new Hao River. The best quality is indeed from the old Hao River, and when seeing the smoke pattern on the surface, Rui guaranteed it came from the new Hao River. San explained that they were cheated by the seller, making Boss Ma look annoyed, and then gathered people who bought in the same place because of this fraud. The buyers who felt cheated gathered at Miss Yue's shop. They all wanted an explanation because they felt the stone being sold did not match the description of the mining location, which originally came from the new Hao River. However, Miss Yue reminded the sales here because there was a rule that there was no return guarantee. Then, Bing Bing came to buy Boss Ma's stone. Feng, who was there, explained that buying rough raw stone was like gambling, and it was a personal responsibility. Then, Huang Yu revealed to everyone that the rocks here were probably all rocks from the new Ho River. Boss Ma then reminded Bing Bing to be careful buying stones in this place because many are fake. But Boss Ma was lucky she still got jade. According to her, it was not a matter of jade content or not. This concerns the sale that must be fair. Huang Yu then left for a moment and returned using a hands-free, connected to Ryu. Huang Yu confidently explained that choosing a stone was not only luck, but also knowledge, because we know the best quality comes from the old Ho River, but the stone being sold is from the new Hao River. Knowing this, Miss Yue still denied it, even though the evidence was strong. Then Uncle Gu came and saw the stone for a moment. With a feeling of disappointment, he reminded that an incident like this would affect the honor of the Shu family business. But Feng emphasized that his friend had worked honestly. So without wanting to argue further, Uncle Gu told his grandson to block this seller from attending the next event at the Emporium. Finally, with a feeling of guilt, Miss Yui agreed to return all their money. When he was about to leave, suddenly, one of the sellers called with the title of Teacher Huang Yu, after being fascinated by the analysis in the debate earlier. This seller invited him to his small shop, hoping to help select his collection of stones. Rui initially refused, but Huang Yu kept forcing him to come see the seller's collection. Finally, they both went to the cellar and Rui walked around looking with his golden eyes. It turned out that the collection of stones was of ordinary quality. According to the seller, he still had other stones in other display cases that had been marked, because they would be included in the auction. So Rui reactivated his golden eyes to see the special auction stones, and it turned out that